Hello, ladies. My name is Ashley Dunn, and I'm your moderator for today's important conversation in partnership with TurboTax, Pivot to Profitability, Financial Planning to Strengthen Your Business Foundation. How are you all? Just how's everybody? Good? Everybody's good?
Busy, but good.
Yes.
Great.
Right.
Good.
Let's dive right in. COVID-19 has changed all of our lives, socially, emotionally, physically, and certainly financially, all in the blink of an eye. We have seen the devastating impacts of coronavirus pandemic hit our communities, economy, and our main streets. While the business impact of COVID-19 has varied, depending on industry, there's one group that has been particularly hit hard in America, and that's female-owned businesses. In anticipation of tax day, we saw TurboTax's own CPA and resident tax expert, Lisa Green Lewis, to dive into a thoughtful discussion on how businesses can successfully pivot their financial strategies to build for the new normal. And to help you future-proof your finances, we are also joined by Brittany Gastro, certified financial planner for Mint and the CEO and founder of Financially Wise, to share some steps entrepreneurs can take to make sure their taxes and finances are on the right track coming out of that pivot. And also how they can ensure they set up for success in the future. So how do we successfully lead a business through COVID-19? How do you turn a seemingly insurmountable challenge into an opportunity? And how do you start planning for the new normal when the future is still all unwritten? Well, thankfully, we're joined by two additional savvy business owners who can help answer these questions. Thank you, Alexandra Z and Julie Solomon, for joining us today. Julie and Alexandra, I'd love for you each to give us your 30-second pitch, share your name, title, and what you do. Alexandra, we'll start with you.
I'm Alexandra Z, and I am an Oakland-based artist and woodworker and author. I run my small business, which is I make custom artwork. And these past couple of years, I've been running it with my husband, which has been wonderful to kind of make it a family business.
Right. Julie?
Hi, I'm Julie Solomon. I am a business coach and the host of the Influencer Podcast. I have a background in PR and marketing, and I help women who want to make a lot of money and do that by growing and scaling their own business. And we do that through various resources and programs, and then, of course, the podcast.
That's amazing. Ladies, let's get down to business. Alexandra, you are a powerhouse of a woman, an incredible artist, woodworker, author, doing it all with incredible grace and style. How did you first get started with woodworking? And when did you first take a liking to this craft?
So I knew from a young age that I wanted to be an artist and got my degree in fine arts and thought I was going to be an art teacher. And back in 2008, when I graduated, Anthropologie was kind of the it store with their displays. And I had absolutely no idea, but there was an artist in every single store that did the display. And so I applied for that job, got it right out of college, which was terrifying and exciting. Moved from Orange County up to the Bay and began creating displays for Anthropologie. And it was kind of a jack of all trades type of job where I learned everything from making a macrame mountain that you could put all kinds of product on top of to doing abstract wooden displays that would take over an entire window and weave in and out to the outside. So it kind of was in the wood shop that I found myself thriving and loving the material. And I knew then that I wanted to be a woodworker and also be an artist that was making a name for myself instead of within a company. So I jumped ship and was a waitress for a while I built my business inch by inch.
Wow. So fun fact, I worked at Anthropologie, so I know all about how that works. So that's super cool. And you're right. Anthropologie was like my first, moment into retail work and like my first real job. So I can definitely relate to that story. That's amazing. Julie, Julie, you're an unstoppable business coach, a New York Times bestselling publicist, the host of the Influencer podcast, and recently named by Influencer & Co. as one of the top 100 leaders in influencer marketing. First of all, congratulations to you for that. That's amazing. Take us back, Julie, to the beginning of your entrepreneurial story. Have you always been entrepreneurial, and what inspired you to start your business?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have always loved to see what's possible, and that idea of what's possible in life, and always being very curious about that. I'm also someone who really loves money. I didn't grow up with a lot of it, so I always wanted to figure out how to get a lot of it. I went to college with a degree in marketing and communications, and knew very early on that I wanted to serve other women who, maybe they were fearful about independence, about truly being able to take care of themselves. A lot of women who were afraid of money, who didn't think they were good with money, so therefore they didn't think that they could make money and support their families and put a roof over their own head. And so that really gave me the drive to want to support women. And that's kind of how it started. It started in PR, and then it went into the lifestyle blogging space. And then it came to the fruition that it is now, of being more of a service-based company and ecosystem, and supporting women and getting what they want.
Wow, that's inspiring, Julie. Brittany, you made it your mission to help women have a healthy relationship with money, in addition to starting your own financial planning firm called Financially Wise. You're also a certified financial planner for Mint. Brittany, how did you get to where you are today? And when did you first take interest in finance?
Short story is I was like the kid growing up who I just loved to do many things, but math was always easy for me. And I always just had the idea that I wanted to be a business owner. Who knows where it came from, but I just wanted to be a businesswoman. I went to college, got a degree in business economics, had no idea what financial advisors, financial planners were, but I got a job offer. And I remember I went to my career counselor and I said, should I take this job? I don't know what it is. And she said, yeah, try it. You might like it. And that's basically what I did. And so I started as a financial advisor at the age of 22 years old, one of the only women, in a typical financial firm. And I realized after 5 years at that first firm, I really liked it, but I didn't enjoy that corporate world and the particular way that we were told to work and be successful. So that's when I just left and went more of the independent route, then eventually started this company 8 years ago to basically do it how I wanted to run my company, to have that freedom to be an entrepreneur, to have my vision, to create content and education in a way that I thought was what women needed. And I niched myself in the beginning for like women, and now it's expanded to both men and women. But it's been a wonderful journey. But I just am like one of those entrepreneurs that I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was when I started. I just wanted to have my business and do the work that I wanted to do, and have that freedom to do it in the way that I envisioned. So I just took step by step, and here I am today.
Wow, that's amazing. Alexandra, what do you love most about being an artist? And where do you find inspiration for your work? And lastly, how has the current climate changed your perspective and approach to your work, if at all?
Definitely an awesome question. Lots of layers, but what I love most about being an artist, I think, I've kind of talked about this for years, is that if I wasn't creating with my hands, I feel like I would combust. It's within me, and it's what drives me. And that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And being able to create artwork and make a living off of it, it truly is, it's goals and dreams for me. So I'm constantly pinching myself that I get to make art every single day, along with running a business, which has its ups and downs. But it's definitely pivoted a lot this year, as every single business has. It's given me a chance to slow down, where so much of my work, and being a female artist and in the industry that I'm in, you're hitting the ground running, and you're taking every opportunity, every chance to grow is something that you say yes to and you chase with your whole being. Where this year, a lot of those things dried up, and especially being a business that is for disposable income, I kind of needed to pivot myself into doing more intentional projects that were maybe at a higher price point, offering a few sales, but really just taking things slow. And taking things slow meant what practices just gotta go, where to cut things down to not only make my business more streamlined and successful, but to make me a happier person. And what does art and the creation of art look like when I have a little bit more time within my own sanity? And so, of course, all these positives, all these negatives have shaped my business into something new that I think I'm going to continue to carry on even after the pandemic is done and we're, inching our way back to normal life.
I love, Alexandra, that you said you get to do your job, because given everything that we've gone through throughout the pandemic, the fact that you said you get to do it means that your perspective of it, given regardless of what's going on, is that you're blessed to still be able to get to do that particular job. I like that perspective.
Thank you. Very thankful.
Yes. Brittany, this quarantine has been a huge financial blow for every small business across the country. Where is the most important area for small businesses to focus their financial energy right now, and why?
Yeah, I would say cash flow, number one for every business. And I think that's every year. And I actually had a different take. I don't think every business actually had a huge financial blow. I've heard a lot of people who maybe had a good year business-wise and felt guilty for it. And I would tell people, no, you shouldn't feel guilty, because we all go through life and there's an ebb and flow. And maybe this year was the year your business thrived or you started a business, whereas others were having a hard time, and that's okay. It doesn't take away. But I do think like cash flow is one of the hardest things to figure out for any business, whether it's service or product. And then especially as your business grows or changes or gets hit with these unexpected major events like we've had, it's again comes back to cash flow. How much money's coming in? Where does it go? How do you maximize that? Make sure you have profits, able to pay your bills. And I think it's just like that constant awareness and checking in on it, whether it's monthly, quarterly, weekly, depending on your business and how it's all structured. But being friends with the numbers and being friends with your cash flow, not avoiding it, not feel overwhelmed and anxiety, but just see it. Okay, what's the cash flow look like right now? Is it good? Is it bad? What can we do to change it, make it better, and just take it day by day? Because I think that was part of like what we all learned, is really come back to moment, day by day, because none of us really know the future in general. And I think that reminded us that it's always unknown, and sometimes it's more scary unknown than others. But especially when you're running a business, there's so many parts. And so you might forget about the cash flow for one season or one quarter. And then you come back and realize, oh, well, it was good. And how do we make it better? Or maybe it wasn't so good. And what can you do to change it and just navigate? So cash flow, number one for all times, always.
Also, Brittany, can you talk to some of the new features on the Mint app? Are those, or can those be helpful at all?
I think so. So a lot of last year, whether people were having good years or bad years, people did have the awareness to cut back on any unnecessary things, kind of like I think others said it already, like what do I really need? Simplify our lives. What's really important to me? And Mint is such a great tool to use, even personally, to see where's your money going? What can you cut back if you no longer need subscriptions or just money going here or there? To have that kind of course correct and being able to pivot is extremely nice and powerful, because you're in control of your money and you're the one deciding where your money goes. And even little things like just cutting back a little bit every month, or seeing, oh, maybe I wanted to spend money there, but now I no longer want to spend money there. A budget app like Mint is super helpful to see it and make those changes and, keep track of your money, because it's what we all need to do, keep track of our money. So whether you have a lot or a little, you have to keep track, and any app that will help do it, great.
I love that. No matter how much you have $1, you got to keep track of the dollar. I love that, Brittany. Alexandra, the COVID crisis compelled you to slow down your process and make big adjustments regarding supplies, deliveries, and access to materials. Can you talk us through some of the specific challenges you face and how you pivoted your business strategy in the COVID-19 era?
Yeah, one of the biggest pivots, aside from definitely, I scaled back my team a bit and got my hands a bit more into, running every aspect of it myself, which I've definitely learned a lot through that. But I think the biggest thing was being very honest and very upfront within my customer service and my client that is purchasing my work. That it wasn't just an easy trip to Home Depot or Lowe's, there was a line, we would wait in line for sometimes 2 hours. Or if I was getting the delivery, it'd be 2 hours or 2 weeks late. And so I think that there was kind of an expectation, especially in the realm that I'm in within artwork. It sometimes gets translated to home decor, where if you shop on West Elm, you can buy that bed frame or that piece of art and it'll be at your doorstep in a week and a half, where with what I do, it is custom artwork. So I had never really been, I guess, super confident with my client and saying, it will get done when it gets done. Thank you for commissioning with me, but everything is taking a long time. And building the confidence with having that with my clients and not just sacrificing my sanity and trying to make it work no matter what, I think was a very important practice. And I've shared it so much with my community of female makers that it's okay that everything took long, and to remind people that maybe aren't experiencing those delays or aren't as affected by COVID as others, that reminding people you're one human behind a brand and it's okay that things are taking longer.
Right. I love that. It's okay. Nobody's gonna die from waiting for something to arrive. I love that. I love that. Let's talk about challenges, ladies. Julie, in mid-April, Google searches for terms like online courses and free online courses reached historic highs, and they have yet to return to pre-pandemic levels. What has the response been from your community this past year, and how have you repositioned your brand to reintroduce courses to your audience?
Well, I have actually been doing online courses since 2016 with the launch of my first course, Pitch It Perfect. Luckily for my audience, they did not need any type of reintroduction. It has always been a part of our business model. So I think that more than anything, it was just more of a volume piece. It was really great to see more people who maybe didn't understand or know that there were online courses out there as a way to learn and to get online education. It allowed for more capacity for that, and for course creators to really hone down on what their niche was, hone down on what their specialty and expertise was, and then get that out to the right person. So we were able to see a lot more just eyes and new people in our community who wanted those products and services. And then also, even from a different level from courses, it really comes to higher touch things. So a course is great, but sometimes people need more than that. So we were able to create a brand new coaching program called Shine that is more of just a high level support of women who maybe they like to go through courses on their own time, but they still want an actual human being to talk to in real time, to go over their challenges, go over their obstacles. And now we were able to create that in the middle of a pandemic, which has been hugely successful for the growth of our business. So overall, it's been an incredible win-win. And I really think that this is, even though courses have been around for a long time, I do in a lot of ways feel like that this is just the beginning for a lot of them.
Yeah, so definitely there has been an uptick in courses, especially like on social media. I see a lot of people are offering that, especially in the wake of COVID. Thank you so much, Julie. Brittany, the stimulus package will provide some financial relief for small businesses, but what should they do if cash is low right now? Is it smart to turn to credit cards? And also, what is your number one money tip for small business owners right now?
It's tricky. If cash is low right now, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? So everybody's situation is completely different, whether it's leveraging debt to get you through, pulling from savings, like literally whatever you need to do if you want to keep your business open. Another idea is like Julia was mentioning, is there another product or service that you can create right now to help bring some cash flow in the door immediately? So I think that's like the creative avenue of finding ways to make money, even during challenging, difficult, like deadline pressure times. It's like to think creatively, what do your people need right now? And what can you bring to the market easily, whether it's another product, another service, and then just start making sure people know about it, marketing it. I mean, I think if we looked at restaurants, we saw how much they had to pivot within this last year, just anything, to make money and bring money in the door. And I think, the nice part, I guess, one of the silver linings about this year is that people are more flexible and understanding, like, of where you're at, what situations, because it was everybody's trying to figure out what to do. And even if there are good times happening, like good financial problems, it's like, well, how do you fulfill all these orders now? So people are a lot more understanding than ever before. So I think it's also just being honest with where you're at, where your company's at, communicate and just find ways. The number one piece of advice for entrepreneurs as it relates to money, always keep your eye on the money. I think that's like the best piece of advice I ever got was, no matter how many people you get to help you, like professionals, a CPA, a CFP, a wealth manager, attorney, it's still your money, your business. At the end of the day, nobody's going to care more about it than you. So to keep your eye on the money, not that you have to be all neurotic about it, but stay in the game, and review your financials, review the P&L, review your balance sheet, and make financial decisions from that empowered place versus using like an excuse, I'm too busy or there's too much going on and I can't pay attention to the numbers right now, because that's where we see a lot of the mistakes or inefficiencies happening. And then a year goes by and you wake up and wonder, where did all the money go? Because it's really easy, like, especially as a business owner, it's just money comes in and it goes out, like just like personal finances, you get more money in your business, well, more expenses, more taxes, more things you got to worry about. So just keep your eye on the money is always a good thing.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much for sharing that, Brittany. Julie, I'm coming to you. How can we see the silver lining and turn the task of pivoting to digital into an opportunity?
Again, as someone who's been in this digital world since 2014, 2015, I feel like it was kind of just a long time coming. And I think the less that we can resist it and the more that we can do the things that we need to learn from it and really see the benefits from it. If companies aren't spending budgets, flying people all over the country and putting them up into hotel rooms, what can they spend that budget on? If we're able to connect quickly and easily through Zoom or through other online platforms, then what's possible, right? And so I think that it's really just about, even though it may be a change, instead of thinking this won't work for me or I don't like this, it's really about how can this work for me? How can I innovate? How can I level up? How can I really use this to my benefit to reach more of my ideal prospect and be able to serve them in a way that feels really good and right?
That's good. Are there any tools or resources, Julie, that you would recommend to everyone tuning in today?
I mean, there's so many, and it really just depends on what it is that you are focusing on. If you are someone that wants to connect in a video platform, something like Zoom that we're on right now works beautifully for that. I also think that if you run a team, having some sort of software system like Slack to be able to effectively communicate will get you out of your inbox. I also think that having some type of organization system online like Asana or ClickUp is also really great because it's a hub that you and your team can all be in one space. I am also a huge fan of a Google Chrome extension called Loom. It allows me to either record my screen, my face, or both at the same time to share any edits or feedback that I have for my team. So these are just a few things that we use consistently every single day to make sure that we're as effective and efficient as possible in our connection with each other.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Julie. Ladies, let's move on to advice. This is so good. This is very informative. Like, I'm putting the mental notes in my head. This is so good. Alexandra, I'll start with you. For those of us working from home, it's safe to say that there are no boundaries between work life and home life anymore. Like, what is that? What does that even mean? Your studio, showroom, and workshop are all connected to your home. What advice can you share on making a clear distinction between work and home right now?
This year, I think really if you're running a small business and the brick and mortar is maybe no longer, it is almost 24/7, where you are your business owner and you're the boss, whether it is shooting new product, responding to emails, setting up meetings. So much of that goes from, for me at least, being in the actual workshop and creating, and then my next set of 5 hours that's at home, and working on emails. So I know that that is hard now to make that distinction if you are not going to a physical workplace. So for me, it was about setting proper boundaries. And boundaries would be no phone, no computer, no screen time in the bedroom. Where closing that down so that space is for you to regenerate and rest, is incredibly important. And then also making time for your meals to be spent without a screen as well. As someone that does run 90% of my business on my own, if I've constantly got a screen in front of me, I'm going to work. And creating healthy boundaries around that is what allows you to make space to potentially hire someone in new or to ask for help, and then to get the nourishment and rest that you need in order to function the best that you can, while adapting and growing and changing as the world is changing and how you need to run your business.
Wow, that's such good advice, Alexandra. How do you make sure that you stay on task with that? Do you like put like a note in your phone so that you make sure that you know, stick with that? Because I believe that could probably be hard for some people. Just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
It's definitely hard. And I think it is a practice in respecting your own personal boundaries.
Right.
For me, keeping the chargers, especially my computer charger, it does not live in my bedroom. And so being connected to my screen and my computer battery life, I try to not even have it near me when I am in the bedroom, specifically in my bed, because I'm an energy person. And so whatever that energy is, it will remain until there is a shift. And if I need to rest, then my computer cannot be charging or sitting in the room with me. So I keep it separate. And that's just, you know, kind of a life hack type thing, I guess.
Wow. Okay, so I'll make sure, I hope the people are taking notes. That's good stuff, because I think people have had that issue during quarantine of how to distinguish the work life and the home life, and having trouble, like, you know, dismantling work and taking time for themselves. So hopefully we'll take your advice, Alexandra. I know I will. So
that's
Lisa,
really good advice. I need to take
is.
that. And I love how Alexandra talked about a dedicated space, because not even only for, you know, your mental health reasons and your sanity, tax wise, you have to have a dedicated space if you're self-employed in order to take the home office deduction. So I just wanted to add that. It's great advice.
Definitely.
That
And
is
Lisa,
great advice.
I'm coming right back to you. Did you have something, Alexandra?
No, I just that writing off your home office, that if you have a dedicated space, like you said, you get to deduct that, which is important. And a lot of times people don't know that, even if you started your business this year and you're working from home, having that dedicated space means you get to write it off.
That's good. Okay, this is, again, such good information. Lisa, I'm coming to you. I'm coming back to you. Can you share some resources and guidance to help small businesses and self-employed individuals navigate their taxes during these uncertain times? And also, I want to talk a little bit about resources that are available. And I would like for you to speak to the self-employed, the TurboTax Live, self-employed, etc.
Yes, we have a multitude of resources. So we have a few centers. The Self-Employed Coronavirus Relief Center, it has tax tips, advice for self-employed based on the events that happened last year. We also have a calculator there that helps you calculate some new credits for self-employed, the qualified sick and family leave credits. So if you were sick or taking care of a family member, and were impacted by coronavirus, these are huge credits on your 2020 taxes. And then we have the Coronavirus Tax Center, and that is updated constantly with new information around coronavirus, and also the Unemployment Tax Center. And then you talked about TurboTax Self-Employed. So TurboTax Self-Employed is great because there's so many creative businesses out there right now. And it searches for unique deductions. You know, it searches for all of these deductions based on your unique self-employed business. Some you may not even think that you were ever eligible for. And then we have our TurboTax Live Self-Employed. So whether you want guidance on the way and ask questions to TurboTax Live experts, you could do that, or you can fully hand over your taxes to them and they can do your taxes for you, all virtually. So, you know, it's perfect. We've been on the journey for years now to provide this service, and now we have it where you can have a TurboTax Live tax expert do your taxes for you without you leaving home.
Wow, that's good. Julie, so many of our listeners are considering a pivot from a traditional career into their passion, but are scared to make the leap. Can you take us back to that light bulb moment for you? And how did you make the pivot? And what advice can you share for others wanting to switch lanes?
Yeah, I mean, I just really made the pivot by asking myself the question, did I want to live in fear, or did I actually want to live the life that I wanted to live? You know, I looked around my windowless cubicle and I said, is this really what I want? And so the answer was no. And so I started before I was ready. You know, I didn't wait for someone to hand it to me. I didn't wait to get it all figured out. I didn't wait for it to be perfect. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just knew that I couldn't keep doing what I was doing and expect to get something else. And I also knew that where I wanted to go was not going to happen by doing what I'd already been doing or by taking the path that I had already taken. And so I think that that's just a decision that everyone has to make for themselves of how bad do you really want it? How bad do you really want to work at getting what you want? And do you have the courage to make it happen, even if you don't have all the answers? And so there's a lot of layers to that, and a lot of old stories that we've told ourselves and belief systems that we really have to start to kind of look deeper into and figure out. But I think that the first piece is having the courage to make the commitment to yourself. So that would be my advice to anyone out there is, you know, they kind of say it with children. If you wait for the perfect day to have a child, you'll never have a child. If you wait for the perfect day to start your own business, you'll never start your own business. So you really have to look within of, you know, and really kind of take the bite-sized pieces instead of trying to take the massive piece in order to kind of underwhelm yourself. Is you can just take it one day at a time. You know, what can I do today that is going to get me one step closer to what it is that I want? And then that's a good place to start.
That's really good.
Advice.
Did you have something?
We said the exact same thing. That's great advice. Bite-sized pieces.
I love it.
I'm gonna bookmark that.
I love that too. And I feel like a lot of people, you know, they think I have to be making this certain amount of money to start my business. But if you're doing something you love, I think you'll do well in it. I always think about my dad. I mean, he started his business in a garage and he ended up having a successful business because he was doing something that he really loved.
That's so good. Brittany, if this last year taught us anything, it was the importance of planning for the unexpected. Besides budgeting, how can businesses set aside resources to help deal with the unexpected? Also, what are some strategies small business owners should implement now to crisis-proof their business and be more prepared for tough times in the future?
Yeah, I mean, some resources, I guess it depends on every business and what kind of business it is. I think in financial planning, a lot of what we say is make a plan with the information we know now and prepare for the unexpected, right? And then you kind of have to throw out the plan and live life and do your best to figure things out as it comes. So with the business specifically, I mean, some things are just resources of having cash and a cash reserve that you can tap into. And depending on the type of business and your business cycles, you would determine how much that is, like liquid money to get you through any shortage of income, or who knows what could happen. The right insurance policies, of course, depending on the type of business you run. I also think as a business owner, resources of just who do you call, having your team of professionals, your CPA, your CFP, your attorney, your, estate planner, your banker, like people who you build those relationships now, have the network now. So when things happen, you call them, get their advice, get their resources to help you navigate. I think the second part of the question, what can businesses do moving forward?
Right.
Same kind of stuff, look at your business with your team, kind of figure out how much of a reserve do you want to keep. If you don't have that reserve, then start to build it. Maybe you need to build your team of professionals or find new people. And I always tell people it's okay to fire or, find new people to replace maybe the people who've helped you. I've gone through professionals. It wasn't like they were bad. I just outgrew them, so that's okay to outgrow certain people and find new CPA, attorney who will play at the level that you're playing now or help you deal with a new way of the world now. And then also as a business owner, just being able to pivot and make, those decisions in the moment. And I think Julie said it earlier, just figuring out what can you do right now. The world is always going to change, like change is inevitable. So instead of like resisting change, like how can you make it an opportunity, and what can you do to move into the unknown step, day by day, and make those decisions. But having flexibility and the ability to pivot is I think going to be one of the things that we all need, whether you're a business owner or even have some sort of 9-to-5 job.
Right.
Just being able to move in this new way of the world that moves at such a fast pace is going to serve all of us.
Flexibility. I think that's the key word in all of that, is to be flexible, because we don't know what's coming, right? We didn't anticipate this.
We never know what's coming. Yeah.
Here we are. Alexandra, seeking support is more important than ever right now. And I want to find out from you, who has been a mentor for you in these tough times, and how are you paying it forward?
So I'm kind of just hot off of a bit of a inspiration trip with a few powerhouse women that I am lucky to be in community with. And I would definitely say my support is these incredible women that I are deep friends and are also business owners or movers and shakers. And I would say that their support during these times, and it's almost like this group that we're sitting with here today, that each one of them does something very different and has so many different skills that they bring to the table. So whatever it is that any of us would bring up, there's so many different sides to it coming from each individual person. And so I would say that that has been my biggest support, is being able to look outside of the box of my own perspective and hear from other women that have pivoted, are taking those leaps of faith, and what is it within them that has led them to certain avenues, and, applying that to how I run my business. And I truly believe that seeing the world and what you do through the lens of someone else is a beautiful practice to bring in, so that you are kind of covering all of your bases and making sure that you are accessible to everyone out there. Just that community and support system within just female badasses has been something that it's worth its weight in gold for me.
Any other of you ladies want to share, like, who's been a resource as a mentor in your lives throughout this whole process?
I can share. I mean, I've been with TurboTax for almost 10 years. So I work with some badass women as well. And we all have different skill sets on my team and across the agencies that I work with. But they have really helped me, as well as I have someone I've been friends with since high school. She's been in real estate and a business owner, and we actually did business together. I didn't share. I've had several of my own businesses myself, and I did real estate for a while my third child was a baby, all the way through until she was 6. So I did real estate and I did taxes. So she's another person that mentored me, and she encouraged me while I was pregnant with my third child to get my real estate license. So.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Ladies, let's talk about the future, because we're all looking forward to it, right? We're looking forward to what's next, right? Lisa, I'll start with you. What tax advice do you have for people that are considering to take their side hustle to a full-time business?
Yeah, I know we see that a lot, because people, they're doing their hobbies on the side, and then they're thinking about, I want to make money in this. What should I do? For tax wise, I would say know your tax situation is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
You will have a Schedule C if you're self-employed. You may have estimated taxes if you think you're going to owe $1,000 or more.
Mm-hmm.
And also self-employment taxes. But all is not lost there. There are so many deductions that you could take as a self-employed person or as a business owner that you don't get if you're an employee. And then also I would say, if you're thinking about diving into it, just make sure what your situation would be in if you're going to be self-employed or a corporation. I've had tax clients, they just start their business. They don't even have clients yet. And they just think the right thing to do is to start as an S corporation when, as a self-employed person, if you're not making as much money, you may be able to get the same deductions as a corporation. You definitely can now. You can deduct, your marketing expenses, supplies, anything directly related to your business, as well as there's the new 20% qualified business deduction. So that's something to think about, because the client I had, they were surprised their state franchise tax was $800 and they hadn't even started making money yet. So I would just, make sure the differences between how, if you're self-employed or a corporation, what that's going to do to you tax-wise.
That's really good advice, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that. Julie, the gig economy is growing faster than ever before. In fact, it's growing so fast that 71% of employees report having a side hustle extra income. This means more and more people are asking, how do I take my side hustle full time? Julie, what advice can you share for women looking to launch a business in this new normal?
Yeah. So when I think about launching a business, I first want to be clear that, if you want to launch a business, you got to also want to make money and have profit, otherwise it's just a hobby. So that's the first thing that you have to get. A business is something that generates revenue and hopefully generates a profit for you at the end of the day. So in order to have a business, I think it's really 3 things. You got to have an offer. What is the product or service that you're going to be selling? You got to have a prospect, which is the person that you're going to be selling it to. And then you have to have sales. And so it's really about dialing in those 3 things. So what is it that I'm offering? Who am I offering it to? And then how do I get my marketing and my messaging dialed in to actually connect to this prospect and show them that I am the solution for their problem so I can make sales? And that's how I start with my coaching and just any woman that's in my community. If you listen to my podcast, you hear me talk a lot about that. And so that's always the first step. You got to know who you're talking to. You got to know what it is that you're providing for them. I always say, what is that dream come true? If you can sell someone their dream come true, then everybody wins. And so that's always the first step, I think, to really getting clear on, what business am I going to be in? What is it that I'm offering? Who am I offering to? And then you get to work on the sales piece. And I think it's in that order is important. I think a lot of times people are so worried about marketing. So social media is part of marketing. They're so worried about getting followers and all of that. And I'm like, you don't even know who you're talking to, or you don't even have an offer yet. So why don't we go back to the beginning of figuring out what is it that you're offering? And then who are you offering that to?
Okay, I love that. Offer, prospect, and sales. That's really good. Thank you, Julie, for sharing that. Alexandra, what learnings from the pandemic do you plan to sustain or prioritize for your business and your clients going forward?
The biggest learning, I guess, I kind of talked about it in the beginning, was I got to go slow. And so by going slow and slowing down, I was able to almost trim the fat around the things that were unnecessary, the practices that I was either spending way too much money on that I needed to trim back and kind of re-look at what is absolutely necessary. And then the places where I could invest a little bit more money and time into that was just contributing to making my business more of a well-oiled machine. And so I kind of had myself doing these check-ins maybe once a month, where I was making sure the ways that I was spending the money out and the money coming in, making sure that all of those were communicating with each other and were working together to increase my income or at least get me to my baseline. And so I think that doing that kind of monthly check-in is something that I will continue to do and should have been doing all along, but I am thankful to this past year, looking on, 2 years of slowing down to really just focus on how is this business going to flourish in the future and what can I, trim and or increase. And so I think that is, if you're going to be starting a new business or are kind of rebranding how you were operating, just take the time to make that checklist. Like Brittany said, hold on to exactly where each one of those dollars is, and is it growing there or am I bleeding there? So I think that is something that I should have been doing all along, but now will become a very integrated practice.
Definitely. That's really good. Lisa, what are some steps entrepreneurs can take to make sure their taxes and finances are on the right track coming out of that pivot? And how can they ensure that they are set up for success in the future?
Well, I know Brittany touched on this. Definitely tracking your income and expenses, whether it's monthly, quarterly, but you just have to deal with it. So making sure you track those, because you don't want to miss out on anything if you wait until the last minute, especially your expenses, because your expenses can lower your taxable income. So you want to make sure you're doing that. I know Intuit, we have QuickBooks Self-Employed and QuickBooks. QuickBooks Self-Employed helps you easily track your income and expenses year round. And then that information easily transports into your TurboTax self-employed tax return, so you don't have to enter all that information again. And then I would say definitely maximize your deductions, whatever you're eligible for that's directly related to your business, because you want to lower your taxable income, which lowers your self-employment income and your estimated taxes.
Okay. Brittany, empowering women through financial literacy usually results in improved financial health and well-being for not just their businesses, but for themselves. Can you speak to the financial goals we can set to create transformative wealth for both our businesses and ourselves for now and in the future?
Yes. Well, it's going to depend on everybody's personal life goals. And, like we're hearing, everybody is so unique. But I mean, just some general goals. It's like, one, you always want to make sure you have your cash reserve or emergency fund. And that is typically 3 or 6 months of your committed expenses and some sort of liquid savings or account that you can get to. So the sacrifice is you probably won't get a lot of return on that money, but it will be there if something should happen and you need money quickly. If you have debt, that could be another goal that you work toward paying down, whether it's student loan debt, credit debt. And just find the best and most efficient way, usually starting with the highest interest rate debt, making additional payments toward that one first while paying the minimums on the rest is the most efficient way to pay down debt. A lot of people are buying properties or second properties, relocating. I think we saw a lot of that within this last year, having the ability to have like some sort of like country home or home and they can escape to. So I think real estate is such a good goal to have, whether it's your first home or second or third. And, you know, you just kind of figure out like, what's the down payment goal? How are you going to fit that new mortgage into your cash flow? So that's, again, looking at cash flow. Other goals, of course, include like financial independence or retirement. So having enough money, whether it's from investment income, meaning your portfolio, like an IRA account or 401k account, or other brokerage account, or maybe income coming in from rental properties or business income that could be more passive. So these are all opportunities to look at your financial life and set some goals of how will you create. What I like to say is like, how do you create multiple streams of income, both now and in the future? So, you know, start with one, make it solid, whether it's from your business or rental property or investment portfolio, and then keep adding to your overall wealth portfolio. And then I would say another goal that has been on the forefront probably for many, but it's a good one just to bring up, is just financial education. Make it a goal of yours to continue to learn. And I always see money as a game. I, like Julie, wanted to make a lot of money, and that's still like a thing. Like, I wanted a business to make a lot of money, and I'm totally fine saying that. But also it's interesting because money really is like a game. The financial world's like a game. So once you hit one level, you kind of master it, then you go to the next level, and then you learn new things, new challenges, new areas that you can improve on. And I think now we're all emerging into this new world. We don't really know what it's going to be quite yet, but it is a good opportunity to expand. What do you need to improve on or remind yourself of in the financial education world? And even like as women, bring that into your family dynamic, talk to your kids, the next generation. Financial education is such a great generational wealth strategy, because even if you leave them money behind as generational wealth through real estate, your business, a lot of times if they don't have the tools and education to manage it, it'll be gone in the next generation. So I love financial education, and me, even after being in this industry 15 years, I don't know a lot. So there's always stuff to learn, and you'll never run out. But if you just kind of see it like a fun game, then it's, you know, just part of your lifestyle. Continue to learn.
Brittany, that's so important. Financial education. I feel like I'm 37 years old, but I feel like I'm having to learn things all over because of lack thereof that was taught growing up. We didn't have courses like that in school. And I feel like, you know, what you said about financial education, it's very important for our young kids coming up, and even us adults, to educate ourselves, re-educate ourselves. So thank you. Yes, definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Brittany. This question is open to everyone. So, and Julie, I'm going to start with you. It's hard to predict the future right now, but can you share any thoughts on what you think the future of small businesses looks like post-pandemic? And also, what changes do you see in store and why? Julie?
I mean, I think it's a very big question. I think that small business has always been the backbone of this country. It is my hope that it will continue to be. You know, our country's been through a lot for a multitude of reasons over the last several years, and it is my hope that we've stepped into a new chapter. And with that, it is, you know, I go back to that idea of what's possible. What's possible for women? What's possible for women of color? What's possible for the new generation that is coming up? What is possible with the new ideas that this connectivity, this digital connectivity gives us? And I think that the more that we teach financial education, the more that we teach women, the more that we teach Black women that it is possible to show up, to have their own business, to make as much money as they absolutely want to make. Small businesses will continue to be the backbone of this country and will sustain, you know, the generations to come. So that's what I believe anyway.
That's good. Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that small business and self-employed is going to continue to grow. we've already seen some growth year over year. I think 1 out of 5 people become self-employed every year, but I think it's going to be accelerated with, there's so many creative businesses out there and things that people want to do. And then just the ability to sell online. And people saw that through the pandemic, what they could do as far as selling virtually. So I think it's going to continue to grow.
Brittany, Alexandra, y'all have any thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I echo in that small businesses are, you know, the backbone of our country, and that so many more young people are taking that leap of faith. And you know, the education behind finances is now actually a topic that is being talked about. So I think that there is a lot of success being set up for the next generation of small business owners. And also just, I feel proud to be a part of the businesses that are taking a stand towards inclusivity and equality. And I think we're going to see so much more of that, where there is a universal representation of small businesses where you can actually see yourself reflected and get to purchase from people that you support and that you know support the communities that you're involved in. And so I think that there's been a really beautiful step towards transparency with small businesses and sharing information like this in circles like this, where I would say I'm definitely walking away like with some notes that I've taken, and all of these things are now out for grabs for anyone looking to start a new business. And this young generation coming up that's like, I don't want to work for a corporation. I want to do something my own way. So I definitely see an uptick in it, and think small businesses and working for yourself is going to be around for always. And hopefully we're refocusing, you know, what the foundation and important cornerstones of that is.
Brittany?
I'll just say short and sweet. I mean, I just hope there's more resources, you know, that come to the table for small business owners. And I agree with Julie. I think like it's just part of the country's like to be a business owner. And I think it's not always easy for people to think like a business owner, but even if you work for a company, keep in mind that you still need to have that kind of entrepreneur mindset. And what I mean by that is you have to know at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to go get what you want, make it happen for yourself, leverage and find as many resources as possible to take care of yourself and your family and whatever that means to you. So I think there is a lot more awareness around, even if you work at a company, to like really take care of your own finances, to find ways to figure new solutions, new strategies. And I think technology will only, you know, continue to improve a lot of ways that we've been doing things. But yeah, I mean, I just hope there's more. I mean, I'm as a business owner, more and more resources to help us would be great, right?
Definitely. I want to now finish up, ladies, with some rapid fire questions. Y'all are y'all game for rapid fire? Rapid fire is my favorite, by the way. I love rapid fire. That means we've made it to the ending point.
Yay. Sounds good.
Okay. So ladies, just finish the sentence, right? And it's open to everybody. My number one money tip for entrepreneurs is, Lisa.
Well, on the tax side, maximize your deductions so you can lower your taxable income for sure.
Alexandra.
Know the baseline of income that you need to make.
Jules.
Don't be afraid to make it.
COVID-19 has taught me, Jules.
What's possible?
Britt.
To just wake up every day grateful to be alive.
Lisa.
You could thrive and be successful in a virtual world.
Alexandra.
To slow down.
The future will be, Lisa.
I think the future will be bright because we've already made it through 2020 and people were able to pivot. And then also what everybody's learned just in our taxes and chill. Taking those tips, I think the future will be bright. I've learned a lot from everybody on the panel.
Definitely. Alexandra?
I mean, exactly what I would say. I think the future is bright, and I think we are more community minded more than ever. And so for me, the future is bright and we are all in it together.
And lastly, Brittany?
I agree with both of those. And I would just say, I'm one of the believers in like the future always gets better. Life always gets better. So even if it's challenging, to know like bright and better days are always ahead of us.
Thank you, ladies. I think Julie had to step away. This was so good. This was so informative. Woo, I'm blown away by how much information I have. So thank you, ladies. I know the people watching are now well educated on financial literacy, taxes, and we're ready to go out and live our best financial lives. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope that you were able to take away some important information to set yourself up for financial success today and in the future. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and to catch up on even more tax talk and financial advice you may have missed today, visit createandcultivate.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Thank you, ladies. This was so good.
Thank you.